Welcome back, Wargamers. We've got another edition here, and today we are talking about something other than good old Games Workshop. Yeah, we talk about some other games from time to time, although 40K, Age of Sigmar, and all that does take up an awful lot of the news sphere and our hobby time. But today we've got our hands on the brand new Star Wars Legion set from Fantasy Flight Games. So we're going to do an unboxing. I've taken off the shrink wrap to save some time, but I have not yet opened this box, and we're going to check it out. So here on the back, you can take a look of the 33 miniatures that you're going to get. You're going to get Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, 14 Rebel Troopers, 14 of the Stormtroopers, 2 speeder bikes, and 1 AT-RT. And, of course, dice, rules, tape measures, or measuring sticks, all that sort of stuff. So let's go ahead and dive in. This is a big, exciting box. And let me go ahead and get the next overhead camera set up. So bear with me while we bring this. We're trying out a new setup, kind of a different rig rather than behind the computer. So I've got it hooked up to a lamp. Let me show you this real quick because this is kind of a joke. I took a lamp apart, like a desk lamp, and then I mounted the webcam to it. So it allows me to kind of move it mobily. Got the GoPro arm for when I need to bust that out. Kind of MacGyvered this thing together. But there we are. This is the trusty desk lamp webcam rig. So, all right, let's go ahead and take the lid right off this thing, the sarcophagi here. Let's find out what's inside the box. Now, it's not incredibly heavy, despite the fact that I feel like the box material is really thick. This is some thick reinforced cardboard with some texture on it. So, I have seen some other reviews where people have shown some good stuff inside of here. So here's the 2017 winter catalog from Fantasy Flight Games. So it's of course got a lot of their other stuff, a lot of other Star Wars intellectual property games, since Fantasy Flight has that sort of on lockdown. Now there's not a full-size rulebook in here from what I heard. I watched Spiky Bits a few months ago when he was talking about it, and he said that this Learn to Play is currently the only rules set that comes in the box. So I don't know if that means that this is really meant to be a 2-player starter set, and that there will later be a full complex rule book to include other units, other play types, and stuff like that that are out there. But this goes through setting up the scenario, how to play out some of the demo scenarios, and then some of the advanced rules that are in the back of it, and of course a hobby guide. So these guys can be assembled with plastic glue, unlike a lot of other Fantasy Flight plastics out there. This is apparently a harder plastic. My friendly local game store here in Arizona had put together the demo set, and I thought they were crazy for using GW thin plastic glue, but their models are actually holding up. It did fuse them together, so it's not like a plastic resin that we're about to experience. So just like in X-Wing, these are thick cardstock here. If you could see that, didn't really focus. But these are different tokens for Imperials, Rebels, wounds, different unit types for activation, unit designator numbers for when you have multiple units of Stormtroopers, Rebel Troopers, vehicle units, and stuff like that. So these are some of the punch-out tokens, and of the same quality that you'd find in the X-Wing ship packs. So here's something really interesting. This is a plastic-formed insert tray, and so that makes up the bottom of it. So the box is empty below that. But I don't know how well assembled miniatures are going to go back in it, but one of the things about some of the Fantasy Flight games is that they tend to require a lot of bookkeeping, meaning that you need a lot of cards, you need a lot of equipment, tokens, things like that. This would at least make a really good token organizer and card organizer, as well as a place to store your unassembled measuring sticks and things like that. So we won't do a full breakdown on the contents. We'll do separate videos on the unit builds and things like that, but we'll just show you all the goodies that are in here. So we've got the unit upgrade cards. These are small. These are just like I assume these are basically the same size as the Fantasy Flight X-Wing equipment cards. So they do make card sleeves for those if you wanted to sleeve these up, because these are actually going to be rather thin, and if you're going to get a lot of gaming play out of them, they're thinner than your average playing cards, so you're definitely going to want to sleeve those up to get more miles out of them. So you'll have to pick up the Fantasy Flight ones, because this is a very small card size, at least half the size of a normal playing card. And then you have the larger cards. So this is another, I think these are also unique. I don't think these are the same size as like Magic the Gathering or baseball cards. I could be wrong on that. But these guys you'll have to sleeve as well, because these are some of the orders cards and command cards and stuff like that. I think the unit cards are also in here for unit reference. So these are also thin, so definitely look into sleeving these guys up. But there's a whole bunch of cards in there, so there's different scenarios, things like that, in case you were looking to draw random scenario packs or what have you. Here's the unit cards that give you the stats for the units. So haven't played the game yet, but later on I guess we would figure out what all these stats are all about. Now again, this HP Stream webcam that I've got here does not have the best autofocus, so apologies if things like this go in and out of focus while we're messing around with it. It's lacking some in that department. So here's the different bases. You've got gray and red, so right out of the box that would help you distinguish which army each of the miniatures belong to, and these are 25mm bases from Fantasy Flight. They even have a Lucasfilm Limited copyright inside of them, so these are unique to Star Wars. These aren't borrowed from another game system, in case you were curious. So it's got the Fantasy Flight logo and LFL copyright. So there's red and gray bases in there for your Stormtroopers, Vader, Luke, and your Rebel Troopers. Then we have the vehicle bases, which have firing arcs in them, or quadrants. So here with the notches, unlike the other unlike the troops, these guys, this is where you insert your moving templates. So the front and rear, you start in the front, end in the rear, and that determines the direction of the vehicles. You got two gray ones for the speeder bikes and red for the AT-RT, so that goes to show you that red must be for the Rebels and gray must be for the Imperials. Now we've got the dice as well as the punch-out center section for the turn dial. And now there's 8-sided dice and 6-sided dice in this bag. So they'll have different effects in the game. There's also colors for the dice too. So there's red dice, white dice, and black dice. So your cards will probably tell you whether you roll red, white, black, and 6-sided, 8-sided, things like that for different types of effects. Now these are pretty bulky. These are heavy barricades here. But you're going to get 8 of these barricades inside the box. And they're already assembled because they're single piece, but they're pretty bulky. These guys are chunky pieces of plastic. So in case you were wondering, you don't have to assemble these. They're pretty much ready to go. You can just set them down on the battlefield per the setup instructions on the scenario, or you can play your own scenario, but definitely a good value considering you're getting some solid terrain that may even have use outside of just playing Star Wars Legion. So we'll go ahead and set those to the side as we're checking this out. Here are your movement templates. There's different sizes. I think there's 3 different sizes, like short, medium, long, depending on movement, and they're just articulated in the center, so you just snap these together, and then they fold up there. This is your range stick. So it seems like it's broken up into 6-inch sections, and then you would have range 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that would be a total of 24 inches, in case you're wondering, if you assembled all of these. And it breaks apart so it can go right there back in the box after you're done playing. So put it together, take it apart as often as needed. Here are the bits. Now they're individually bagged up. There's no sprues in here, in case you were wondering. But let's get a feel on this plastic here, because this is hard plastic. This is not plastic resin like War Machine that would normally require super glue. This isn't rubbery soft plastic like you get in the Rune Wars game that has kind of that like dust warfare type of soft pliable plastic, if you will. This feels rather hard, and it does have some mold lines, so they're not bad though. I don't see a lot of flashing even in between the little tiny pistons on the legs here. So we'll keep that guy bagged up. And I was curious whether he came with the different weapons, the underslung weapons, because I noticed when they sell them separately, they come with 3 unique weapons. So it does come with the 3 different types of weapons, so you would be able to slide those in and out depending on how you wanted to equip your AT-RT when it came time to put that on the battlefield. So it's nice that you don't have to buy the unit expansion to be able to get the model that way. Now here are father and son. We've got Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, as well as the rider for the AT-RT. So these miniatures here only come in a few separate pieces, and it's even interesting that I think Vader himself comes in like 3 pieces only. His head and cape are here. He's doing a force choke maneuver, which I'm sure is an overplayed maneuver, and then his body just slides right on, an arm would slide in, glue him together, glue him on his base, and he's almost good to go. just like that. So they do fit together quite a bit like War Machine, where they have the different specific shapes that go in, the way they multi-part posed them. I don't know if these guys were originally 3D printed or if these were actually sculpted, but they are fairly high quality, especially for a Fantasy Flight Miniatures game, and I think it does finally do the Star Wars IP some justice with these high quality plastic miniatures. There was like I think Night Models made a pewter miniatures game that wasn't really meant to be a skirmish warfare game, but I do remember there being like 32 or 35 millimeter pewter miniatures back in the day. And I might be wrong, but I think it was Night Models, which if that's the case, that'd be the company that makes the DC and Marvel pewter miniatures games. Here's our 2 speeder bikes. So the pilots are not included in that bag. Hopefully that means they're hanging out in one of the other bags, which I bet they are. They're probably hanging out right here. So we've got the 2 speeder bike pilots and some of the other pieces for assembling the speeder bikes. These are the scout troopers with the visors on their head, just like on Endor, and one of them's firing backwards. The other one's looking forward full throttle. And then inside this goodie bag is where we're going to find the different fire teams for the Rebels and the Stormtroopers. So here we go. I think you get 2 of each because we have 2 units of 7. So, yep, there's 2 missile launchers for it. So I think they just packaged each of the same guys in their own little baggies. So we'll spare you all the details. There's the heavy blaster ones and some of the underslung ones. So going to be a lot of miniatures to have to put together, but given that there's no sprues to clip them off of, they're very minimal flashing, very minimal mold lines to drive particular hobbyists crazy. What would actually drive me crazy is if there was a bunch of misshapen pieces. Sometimes when they just throw a bunch of miniatures in a bag and zip them up like this, they go in and they get bent. So hopefully that's not the case, because I don't like heating them up and cooling them down, which is a way around that. Now, a couple more goodies I almost missed in here. 2 clear flight stands, 4 clear flight stands in total. Well, okay, so they must double up on you. They're the same height, so maybe that's just in case you miss out, because I think we only actually need these for the speeder bikes, of which there's only 2 in the box. So time will tell if we can actually fit the assembled miniatures back in here. I'm not going to hold my breath because it doesn't look like they're really set up to be that way, but at least we'd be able to put the cards and whatnot back inside the box. So that's a quick look at the contents of the Star Wars Legion starter set, 2-player starter set. In case you were wondering, we'll do some other videos on the unit builds for those of you that are into hobbying. Stay tuned for some more Budget Wargamer.